Moving to a new state always looks great online. The houses are affordable, the scenery is beautiful, and apparently everyone there spends their weekends kayaking with golden retrievers. Then you move in. That's when you discover why people are leaving or why it's so cheap. Basically, you discover that the state sort of sucks. So we ran a survey. We asked people, what states would you love to move to and which states would you never move to? Today, we're looking at the results of the never move to states. Let's take a look. Number 10, Alaska. Now, I totally see Alaska as being one that people wouldn't want to move to. I mean, you got to be a different breed of cat to want to move to Alaska. Alaska is less a relocation spot and more an expedition requiring employment, planning, and several coats. Believe it or not, Alaska ranks as one of the most expensive states for everyday living. Food, building materials, travel, utilities, and repairs can cost substantially more because of distance. You know, down here where you got a bunch of states connected together, it's a lot easier to get supplies and people back and forth from state to state. On top of all that, the state only has a few significant employment centers. If you have any kind of specialized medical care you may need, you got some traveling to do. I mean, you're not going to have to come down to the lower 48, but you're definitely going to have to make it to Anchorage for some of the more specialized care. If you're one of those hardy people that decide you want to move out to the Alaskan outback, well, there's some other problems besides being eaten by a grizzly bear. Thawing permafrost can damage more than remote wilderness. It can affect roads, foundations, utilities, airports, barge landings, and access routes. Buyers need to investigate the ground beneath the property, not merely admire the mountain behind it. Of the just over 4,000 votes, Alaska got 79. Number 9, Arkansas. Arkansas is a strange state. Now, I'm going to talk bad about it, but I'm not talking about the northwest section of the state because that is totally different from the rest of Arkansas. That portion of the state actually functions properly like most states. The rest of the state is a hot mess. It's the type of state you move to when you're trying to avoid like a crazy ex or something like that, or a stalker, because they're not going to follow you into Little Rock or Pine Bluff or some other little boondock town where the average educational attainment is 8th grade. That being said, Arkansas offers beautiful scenery and affordable housing, but newcomers should examine what that low price includes, more importantly, what it doesn't include. Like, Arkansas ranks among the 5 lowest performing healthcare systems in the country. And their poverty rate is almost as bad as Kentucky. It's 15.5% of their population living below the poverty line. Rural areas offer limited job diversity and longer trips for specialized services, like a lot of these places. If you move there, it is affordable for the most part, but affordable living becomes less impressive when wages and services are also shopping in the discount aisle. Arkansas is one of those states on my never move to list. I've been there a handful of times in my life, and one time I went there for the military. We did some little war game thing with the Arkansas National Guard. It's hard to describe their National Guard. Years after getting out of the Army, my kids were watching a cartoon called Ed, Edd, and Eddy. And I was like, oh my God, it's the Arkansas National Guard. Arkansas got 181 votes. Number 8, West Virginia. You know, I gotta tell you, I'm a little impressed here. I thought West Virginia would be further down on this list as places people wouldn't move to, but I guess all that stunning natural beauty sort of make you ignore some of the things you should probably be paying attention to if you're thinking about moving to West Virginia. But West Virginia is affordable and spectacular, but its demographic and economic problems have been building for decades. I think they've plateaued. It's really hard to get much worse than they've been over the last 10 years, but you never know. The state also ranks among the 5 weakest healthcare systems. West Virginia's avoidable premature death rate is more than twice the national average. For almost 10 years straight, they've seen more deaths than births in West Virginia, which is playing a big part in their decreasing population. They did have a little bump in their population in the 2010 census, but I think that's because everyone found out it was easy to get opioids at the time and all the junkies headed to West Virginia. Then Portland decided to legalize all that stuff and they came here. Yay! They also have a poverty rate of 15%, and many communities have limited job diversity, aging infrastructure, and a shrinking tax base. So things will just get worse. West Virginia got 224 votes. Number 7, New Mexico. New Mexico has remarkable landscapes and culture, but its economic and demographic numbers are waving several red flags, and the state government seems to have started waving a white flag. New Mexico was one of only 5 states that lost population in 2025. Its poverty rate also is in the 15s. It's 15.5, and their unemployment rate in June of 2026 was 4.8%, which is above the national average. New Mexico has a lot of problems, and it's like the poverty, it's the drugs, it's the violent crime rate, and they got a really low tax base. Kind of hard to tax a bunch of people that can barely feed themselves, When that happens, you start cutting back on things like police, and then your crime rates go up. One thing leads to another, and really crappy states start saying stuff like, well, at least we ain't New Mexico. New Mexico got 241 votes out of 4,000. Oh, hey everyone. I thought I'd take a quick minute out and tell you about all the good sleep I've been getting on my Brooklyn bedding mattress. Yes, I was enjoying my Aurora Luxe cooling mattress so much over the last month, I had the people over at Brooklyn Bedding send me one for my granddaughter. Now, most of the mattresses from other companies show up compressed in a box and are basically a giant slab of bargain bin foam. They sleep hot, they don't offer much support, and after a while, you start wondering if you actually bought a mattress or an oversized kitchen sponge. Brooklyn Bedding does things differently. Their mattresses combine cooling foam and individually encased coils, so you get proper support without feeling like you're sleeping on a park bench. Another reason I like Brooklyn Bedding is that they're a factory direct company. They design and assemble in Arizona and ship straight to your door. No middleman wandering around making up prices because he owns a clipboard and a furniture showroom. That helps Brooklyn Bedding keep mattresses affordable without cutting corners on quality. My favorite model is the Aurora Luxe Cooling because, it gets a little hot these days. I prefer the medium firmness, but you could choose whichever one you want. I do recommend adding the cloud cooling pillow top. That upgrade makes a noticeable difference, especially if you tend to sleep hot, which I do. Brooklyn Bedding also gives you a 120-night sleep trial, a limited lifetime warranty, and free shipping anywhere in the United States. Delivery right to your door. The setup is ridiculously easy. It's about 10 minutes. Open the box, remove the wrapping, and watch the mattress expand. Recently, I've been making sleep a bigger priority, and that's why I recommend Brooklyn Bedding. So if you're looking for a new mattress, go to brooklynbedding.com. You can click the link below and use the code word Briggs to get 30% off, or you could go to this fancy QR code right here and go from there. Thanks to Brooklyn Bedding for sponsoring this video. Number 6, Mississippi. Mississippi's housing can look incredibly affordable until you ask why it remains so incredibly affordable. And it is the cheapest state to buy a house right now. And actually, since the 1880s, it's been that way. I mean, if Mississippi is one thing, it is consistent. It consistently gets bad grades when it comes to school, healthcare, and dental work. You know why so many murders go unsolved in Mississippi? Nobody's got teeth. It ain't that bad, but it's pretty close. In 2024, Mississippi's poverty rate was 17.8%. That was the highest in the United States. In 2025, it dropped all the way down to 16.9. And a majority of this is going on in the rural communities. Many rural communities struggle with healthcare access, limited employment options, and educational attainment. Cheap housing in Mississippi doesn't necessarily help when local wages, services, and economic opportunities are this low. So you're saying, well, at least it's cheap. You got, it's give and take. Well, yeah, your money may stretch further, but your career may have nowhere interesting to stretch. I mean, we've all been watching these videos long enough. Everybody knows Mississippi is just not that good at being a state. I'm just really surprised that they're number 6 and not number 1. Mississippi got 304 votes. Number 5, Oklahoma. Oklahoma looks like one of the last places where a regular person can still afford a decent house without running a Ponzi scheme or starting a podcast about passive income. The problem is that the cheap mortgage can be followed by brutal insurance costs, severe weather, weaker healthcare access, and job markets that can feel pretty thin outside larger cities. It ranks right up there with Mississippi in affordability. Sadly, it also ranks up there with some of the negatives too. And it's not just Florida with the high insurance costs because of hurricanes, or California with the wildfires. Oklahoma's right up there for homeowners insurance. Severe storms, tornadoes, and hail contribute to frequent and expensive claims. It's one of the weakest states for healthcare, and they've got a high local sales tax that quietly eats away at the affordability you move to Oklahoma for. They've got a lot of things that sneak up on you once you move there. I mean, a lot of people are moving to Oklahoma right now. People really have always moved to Oklahoma. It's like the fresh start state. The last time they had a down population was 1950, 1940 also. But those are the only two census where they actually lost people, which is mind-blowing when you know what kind of condition this state's in. 365 people said they would not move to Oklahoma. Number 4, Florida. Gotta admit, kind of surprised. A few years ago, they wouldn't have made this list. I think in the last 2 years, things have kind of shifted for Florida, and it's kind of turning people off. Florida remains popular, but the affordable retirement paradise has been disappearing beneath insurance paperwork, condo assessments, and rapidly rising costs. Homeowners insurance for standard coverage averages roughly $5,838 annually in Florida right now, depending on the month, but they're always in the top 5 for the highest insurance rates. Housing costs have risen much faster than local wages in several metro areas. Storm risks bring high deductibles, flood coverage, and expensive repairs. And of course, their unemployment in June of 2026 was above average at 4.7%. The unemployment rate in June for the United States, the average was 4.1%. No state income tax is helpful, but it doesn't pay the insurance premiums, HOA fees, that roof assessment, or the air conditioning bill. Florida got 372 votes out of 4,000. Number 3, New York State. New York offers opportunity, culture, healthcare, and some surprisingly affordable rural communities. The trouble is, the state's financial appetite travels well beyond Manhattan. This is a state that likes to tax everything. New York ranks 50th in tax competitiveness, meaning they're the absolute worst. I thought New Jersey was, but according to the National Tax Foundation, it's New York. It currently has one of the highest effective property tax burdens in the nation. Statewide, the cost of living remains substantially above average, and the population growth was only 0.01% in 2025. This is a state that always grew in double digits. Most of that growth comes from New York City. I mean, that place has been a human being magnet for centuries. From 1698 to the 1930 census, they grew double or triple digits. Then it went down to single digits, and in 1960, they had their first drop in population, losing 1.4% of their population. They got it back in 1970 with almost identical improvement, and then in 1980, they lost 10% of their population. That is a brutal number for a state. Well, then they kind of went on their normal ways of growing again, slightly, single digits, but since 2020, they've lost 2.5% of their population. There's been a shift in the matrix because a few of the states that have always grown have been losing population since 2020. But New York's problem gets traced back to the taxes and the affordability. You may not be paying crazy rents in upstate compared to New York City, but taxes, heating costs, and limited local employment can spoil that bargain. New York got 426 votes. Number 2, Louisiana. Louisiana has unmatched culture, music, food, and hospitality. Unfortunately, charm can't repair drainage systems or bring down crime rates. And trust me, they got some serious crime rates. Louisiana had America's highest state poverty rate in 2024 at 18.7%. That is a brutal number. I mean, you'll find small towns and some of the major metro areas in the United States where they have 25% or 28% poverty. But for a whole state to be averaging 18.7% is crazy. This is a state that is like under attack all the time from Mother Nature, whether it's flooding, hurricanes, or whatever else Mother Nature decides to hit Louisiana with next. And that helps compound their problems with poverty, infrastructure, insurance premiums like so many Gulf and Atlantic states are dealing with right now because of hurricanes. They're getting worse. If you're one of the people that wants to move to Louisiana, I would definitely do my research first. New Orleans looks amazing on paper. I suggest you go there during the summer. Go there during Mardi Gras. Go there during festival. Go there on Tuesday. It's a city with incredible history and amazing things. It's just, in my opinion, kind of a trashy city. I've been there 3 times in the last 4 years, I think. Went there quite a few times in the 90s, once in the 2000s. I've been there enough. I've never lived there, but just visiting it, you're like, I would never live here. But it's a good place to go have a good time. They also have some of the worst cities in the United States. Besides New Orleans, they got Baton Rouge, Shreveport, and a few others that are just horrible places to visit. I've mentioned this before, but there was a guy that said the only reason anyone ever goes to Shreveport anymore is because they got a court date. Louisiana got 449 votes. All right, before we get to number 1, if you could hit that like button, it would be much appreciated. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, California. Yes, all you people that watch cable news, this is your time to shine. Leave your best comments in there and make sure it's a good one. Use your imagination. Go beyond the average stuff. Don't say California or liberal hellhole. Be original. We want to see something decent in the comment section. California remains an economic powerhouse with extraordinary weather, universities, industries, and scenery. For the average person attempting to relocate there in 2027, however, the numbers resemble a financial escape room. California's cost of living is roughly 43% above the national average. Its housing cost index is approximately double the national average, and the median gross rent was the highest of any state in the latest census-based comparison. California lost nearly 230,000 residents through domestic migration in 2025. So tons of people have just had enough of the high cost of living. And that's what it is. High cost of living and housing is just incredibly bad there. Their major cities have tons of homeless, not as much crime as you'd expect, but it's there. And their homeless population helps raise their unemployment rate. In June of 2026, it was 5.2%. If that's not bad enough to turn you off of California, the state ranked 48th in tax competitiveness and has the country's highest top individual tax rate. Even an incredible salary can arrive in California and immediately develop low self-esteem. All that being said, California has a lot of positives. I mean, all states have a lot of positives. It's just the cost of living is crazy and the homeless situation is insane. But it still has the best weather, the most diverse landscape, and has some of the best cities in the nation. Or at least one point they were. California got 512 votes. I thought they would have got more. All right, so what have we learned? The real issue isn't politics or geography. Some states cost a fortune, but at least you get decent services for the money. Others are cheap because the pay is either lousy, healthcare is hard to find, or jobs are hiding in some other state. Worst places to move are the ones where all those problems pile up at once, creating a financial Jenga tower held together by tourism ads, low rent, and a suspicious amount of optimism. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.